Hi everybody, this is the third titling video. Today we're going to stamp the label on the Kensol, which may seem like overkill, but it's what I have and it's what I'm used to. So first off, I want to talk about how everything gets aligned in the stamper. This is what Bill Minter's mentor, Bill Anthony, calls a force, and I'm pretty sure that Bill Minter does things similar to the way I'm going to show you here today. This is what I got from Fritz. He worked in a similar sort of a fashion. So you've got the bed of whatever stamping press you're using, and then this is made out of binder's board. Probably if I wanted to be real professional about it, I would have had it made out of aluminum, or something nice and solid. But anyway, all this does is, oops, if you can see, it's, kind of arbitrarily large. And then I've got 3 stops underneath, which fit around the bed. Okay, and that slides on, so that's not going to move. Then on the top side, there are 2 stops. One is parallel to the stamping head, the other is perpendicular. So this gives you a reference point to work from. If I were just doing a line of type on a single cover, I could then take a piece of binder's board, drop it in here, stamp on it, and then work out all of my registers to align the cover, tape the cover down, put it back in, and stamp it, all right? The big advantage to this is it means your register doesn't move, everything stays, so you can take your piece of board out, fiddle with it, do a little make ready, put it back in, and you'll go right back into the same impression, okay, when you go back to restamp it. So this is tremendously valuable. The other thing is that it also enables you to use different sorts of jigs. So for this, which is lurking here, all right, first thing, let's take a look at the prepped label. So this is the label. I'm just going to look around the corner here to make sure it's in the right place. Yeah, not too bad. All right, so this is the lined label that I showed you in the last video. All I have done is, well, the first thing I did, I need another jig. So this can get kind of scary complicated, but it's really not that big a deal. This is my jig for doing multiple lines because I don't have a multiple line type holder and I just like working line by line. Okay, so this fits in here, goes against the stops. So again, that's registered. I have a single stop on the left side perpendicular to the print head. And I have also marked the center line of the print head on here permanently. And then I've got a perpendicular mark, which actually is this one. And this is the line where the top of the type will line. Okay, so this is my register line for doing multiple lines. This is the center line of this, and then this is marked so that it lines up. Okay, does that make sense? Like I say, it seems overly complicated, but once you get used to it, it really does make things a lot easier. I've also, so this is the line for the head of the top line of type. This is the line for the bottom line of type. All right, and right here it's gonna go, on either side of the juncture between the 2 colors. Okay, so this goes in here, and if I want, I can take a big honking clamp. So that's not going to move. I could take 2 big honking clamps if I felt like it. Now let's do that. Okay, so that's good to go. This goes here, and just as an example of how efficient this can be, these are a set of labels for a very short edition. I'm going to look around here and see if it goes. Yeah, good. So you can see that if you're doing multiples, set your type, rule it out, and then just stamp. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to point out is that whenever you do a label like this, it is only adhered around the edges. You don't want to glue it down, all right? You could also tape around the edges too, but that's not quite as secure as I like, so I use a little PVA, which is another reason to make the lining paper larger than the label itself, okay? All right, so this is set to go. Next thing to note is that this is going to be blind stamped, which you saw on the actual book. It was just blind tooled, so it's darker on the light leather. And something that I don't think gets mentioned enough is that you don't need a lot of heat to blind tool. In fact, you need to be able to touch the tool and not burn yourself, okay? It's hot, but it's not. You can see that I don't, I'm not, it's not, okay. Needs to be warm, but not hot. And I think, I don't know how many people are aware of that, but it means that you're not going to burn the impression when you get it down in there. And if it's not dark enough the first time, you add a little moisture and you stamp again until you draw the color the way you want it, okay? So this is ready, that's ready. Here's my type. Move this. Okay, so I'm going to bring the type up. Hopefully I won't giggle it up. Okay, type. Sitting on a pressing board because that's the easiest way to keep it. Then I'm going to pull out my print head. Okay, I was just double checking the sub jig to make sure everything was cool. Like I say, Bill refers to it as a force. That's a term he got, like I say, from his mentor. I call it a sub jig because it's a jig for jigs. It gets a little meta here, but that's okay. That's what we do in the 21st century. Okay, so I want Beware first. So I'm just going to slide this over here. I would do it in the light, but I need to bring it off the edge here. Open up the jaws. Slide my type in. Let's see if you can see that. There we go. There. Much better. Okay. Going to start to tighten it. I'm going to get it not quite snug, and I'm going to shake it a little bit. Make sure that everything goes where it's supposed to go. Snug it up. Okay. I may actually want to crank the heat up a little bit. Okay. I also want to just double check to make sure that my impression is going to, or not the impression, but that the platen of the press is high enough so that I get an impression. There we go. And all I'm doing is I'm just feeling my way down. A lot of the time that's all you need, especially when you're just working on single words like this. So then I line up this line with this line. It may be kind of hard to see. Let me zoom this in a little bit. Pan over a little. Yeah, I don't know if you can see that, but I'm not going to fuss too much because it's more important that you see what goes on. Okay, now I'm going to, I've got my cotton, my damp cotton behind me. I'm just going to hold this now, and I'm going to very lightly bring it down just to make sure that it's in the right, the impression is going to be in the right place. And that's a little high. There. Bring it down and just touch it. Touch it a little harder. And you probably can't see it from there, but I have a very light impression, light, almost colorless impression. The spacing looks good and it's correctly positioned, so I'm going to come back down. I'm going to hit it another time. Now I'm going to come back, damp it. I could use a brush for this too, watercolor brush. And then make another impression. There we go. It's starting to draw color. Can you hear that little tick? That's how you know things are going well. Add more. There. Where are you? See that? That's what we're looking for. Once the leather dries out, it'll be a little more obvious. Okay. So that's good. So now we there we go. Remove the type. This is like all, or not all, but many other forms of printing. All the time goes into the make ready, and the actual thing is like one and done. You know, it's very odd. All the setup and getting everything just right, and then, you know, a couple of shots and you're good to go. Because there's not much type in here, there's not a lot of mass, so it will, even though this isn't particularly hot, the type's going to heat up fairly quickly. Needs a little bit more. Do my blind. Okay. You also want to make sure when you're using brasses and coppers that they haven't dropped down so that they will make their own impression, which is really not what you want to do. I just want to fiddle with that a minute more. Okay. Yep. It's kind of surprising how delicate you can work on a press this size. There's, you know, kind of the implication that you're going to sock it in with a huge bam, pull the bar all the way down, just stamp the bejesus out of it. But doesn't have to be. These can be pretty precise little machines. Oh, pretty precise big machines. There we go. Now it starts to sing. One more. Okay. Now let me come around here. Yeah. That's what we're looking for. Just enough color. And a nice sharp impression. You can see that you got some depth in the impression there. All right, so that's the process. Now, since we're not too terribly far in, I'm going to go ahead and we'll go ahead and cut it out and put it on. Let me turn off the stamper. you know what? No. I'm going to end this here, and then the next video, we'll finish it up. We'll trim it, pair it, and apply it to the box. So thanks again for coming, and I will see you in the next video, which will be relatively soon. Take care. Bye-bye.